Spot Gamma came out this morning that said the whole thing's out of whack. The whole option chain and the market tied together is out of whack. There is zero fear built into the market. Zero. In fact, the IV is some of the lowest they've seen, even more so than last week. However, if you remove zero DTE options out of the mix, if you just Control Alt, Control A, Control, what is that, X, or delete, whatever, all of the zero DTEs, the market transitions quickly into a negative gamma environment. Now, you can kind of pull some threads on that and figure out, well, yeah, of course, because they're not positioning it so much in the longer data, they're positioning mostly in zeros, yeah, whatever. But that's still the environment we're in, and it's throwing everything out of whack here. 6,700 SPX remains the gigantic level for gamma to the downside. So here's a market open out of the gate. So things are going to be interesting the next couple of weeks. Large red candles coming off. On down. What's up, JT? How's it going? YouTube, how's it going? Super weird. What's up, Jonathan? Missed the Wednesday stream. Beautiful, beautiful. YouTube didn't start. It's on now. It's on now. So, Spot Gamma came out and pretty much said there's not really much changed. Everything still remains the same. 6,700 is your lower bounds. Now, what about us? We have a bit of a trend line here. You can kind of see it. We have liquidity up to 25,350 on NASDAQ. ES has 6,790. Massive bottom wick right here to come back up. That was, what, a 40-point bottom wick? And still going higher. Blow-off move. No, you're fine. You're fine. On the S&P, we have 67.87 coming up to their overall 67.92, which is kind of a support resistance flip. You see this little level right here? This is a bit of a support resistance flip, which is a heavy liquidity line for the S&P. Everything right in this area needs to be looked at closely, especially if they attack it quickly this morning, because you see we have this top, we have bottoms here, and then you have all this top here. So that's going to be your flip line where things start to become pretty bullish back up to 68.05 on ES. Come on now, don't do that to me. I gotta mute this thing again. Sometimes that indicator does that. There we go. So far, blast off green candles across the board, though. You have bookmap right now? Yeah, my bad. Screen, change screen, and volume analysis. There we go. All right, man, bookmap freaking drives me nuts. Or not bookmap, Discord. What's up, YouTube? Someone said something's not working. Nothing happening. Bye. Huh, is there a problem with YouTube? Is this not showing? It looks good on my end. So NASDAQ right here is coming up to the overnight high of about 355. If you look on the longer dated stuff, because that's what's important, right? Is that the distribution still looks intact. We're still getting these consistent, aggressive waterfall price action with volume, which tells me that we are selling into higher prices, which fits my distribution. My thesis from last Friday still is intact. Still is intact. Took my profit on swing calls. Man, you're just not learning, farmer. Dude. Oh, man. Killing me. Killing me. It's working. Well, good thing that today worked out well, but I think you're playing with fire because one of these days we're going to get wrecked. So, but yeah, I would take the profits and close it down. Close it down. RKLB, unbelievable stock. Is that Roblox? Bit of a doji forming on NASDAQ here. Nice little top wick. What's up, traders? How you doing? Invest in Muscle. YouTube's good. Side gig. Deacon. Welcome, welcome. The VIX. The VIX still holding 16. We have this cycling lower back into the 1643, 34, which is still looking for this little upward channel here, and I think it's going to cycle into the 20s here. It's beginning that process of cycling. We have liquidity on ES from 67.95 to 67.70. We have NASDAQ of 25,450. They came out today and said that they may reconvene the BLS to report CPI next week. Maybe, even though we all know it's nonsense anyway. If you think about it, think of all of the major data points that have been posted in the past 4 years. On CPI, non-farm, the crazy big green moves. You remember in 2022 when the S&P rocketed 200 points on a CPI posting? Because it was a positive, good, bullish thing? It's all nonsense. It's all been revised. So what does that mean for those moves that reacted to a move based on positive news? What does that mean? It's all nonsense. So it doesn't matter anyway. Anyway, I digress. Nothing's real. Yeah. That's why it makes me so mad. The news uses manipulation. Yeah, it's liquidity. Exactly. It's liquidity inflow. That's all it is. 25,350 is the level to the upside here. Remember, today's Friday. We want to close the week strong. Friday's my worst day of the week. And, yeah, we're going to try to get something on here. We're going to play very, very smartly. So far, the bottom wick buy the dips is still working beautifully. You know why? Do you know why the buy the dip bottom wick 3C volume is still working very well? It's because we're in distribution. And in the process of distribution, they have to continuously buy this up, come up to the top, sell the rips, because they have to gain that inventory. And one of these days, it's going to stop working. They're going to blow this thing down. Yo-ho, blow the man down, whatever it's called. And it's down we're going to go. So far, everything's working well, which is why you have to wait for the 3C setups. High volume, of course, the bottom wick. And then you need the higher highs. By the way, the S&P just attacked that 67.93. Then we focus on 3C top wicks, 100%. 100%. So the S&P just took out 67.93, which is their, well, they didn't take it out yet. They did get over it, but they didn't close it yet. So they got to close that price to show that we have now, in fact, absorbed supply. And then once they do that, you could look for 68.10. NASDAQ is not quite as bullish as the S&P. If you look around the market, we have aggressively green X's. We have 90% X's on the S&P. XLE, the energy, is the only thing that's red, probably because oil is getting crushed. Oil took out weekly lows and is trending lower. Nvidia is red. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, all red. Apple's green. Google and Tesla are both green. NASDAQ is starting to kind of come along here, ever so slightly. I've been green every day this week, best week in a long time. I'll be egregiously patient today. I like it, Chris. I like it. My fear is when we finally get some downside, it'll be super wicky and hard to trade the whole time. No, I mean, throughout all red candles, there's always going to be bottom wicks. So even on the big, massive sell-off of early this year, there were still massive green days tied in that. Even in the 2020 sell-off, there were massive green days tied in that. That's going to happen. But in terms of this, what we're seeing here, the reason why shorting right now is so incredibly difficult, it's because it's so wicky. Every single red candle, even if it trends downward, every single red candle gets wicked. So if you're not patient and or if you're chasing, you're not going to have a good time, which is why I'm like, hey, why don't we just focus on buying the dips? But when the trend does turn to the downside and that liquidity is now pushing lower, you get these big aggressive waterfall candles where you can be a little sloppier on the short entries, whereas right now you have to be very, very accurate on your short entries. That's the difference. So anyway, big blast off green candles right up here. We just took out pre-market high. Everything is nice and green. No shorting. Now we're attacking yesterday's high. But once again, Linda Raschke proves to be spot on accurate, as it always is. Yesterday, Linda Raschke put a massive blast off into the close. What does that tell you? Off we go. Off we go. Into the morning. Big green candles. 1.14 billion in calls purchased right out of the gate. 54 million in puts sold. Aggressively bullish options chain. Buy the dip relentlessly until it shakes you. Let's see. Liquidity up to 25,412. ES is 6805. If you noticed yesterday, I posted that I have transferred my entire TSP portfolio into the G fund as a setup for protection. Reason being is I logged in yesterday for the first time in a long time, and like the first words out of my mouth were like, holy crap, call the wife in here, take a look at it. It's ridiculous. The retirement accounts are moving like squeeze, like penny stocks, like penny stocks. So when that happens, it's time to start putting on some protection. The way I figure it, if S&P goes up to 7,000, that's another what? That's like 3% from here. 3%. The risk, in my opinion, for the next couple of months at least, is going to be the big downside move. We could still drift up to 7,000, but I'm willing to miss out on that extra 3% for the risk of a drawdown coming up here in the next 12 months. And I'm going to take that chance. I've had a lot of fun. I've made a ton of money in my retirement the past 5 years. But it's time for a little bit of protection fund. I know people that have been in the G fund for 15 years. Well, that's just insane, and they won't budge. It makes me sad. Yeah, I do. In fact, one of my buddy's wives has done that. One of my buddy's wives has been in the federal government now for her entire career, and she's always had her stuff in the G fund, despite his best advice, despite my best advice. The G fund is the government fund. It's the bond fund. It pays 3 to 4% a year, maybe if you're lucky. People keep the money in there because they don't want risk. I'm like, all right, well, you're not going to get risk, but enjoy your no retirement here in about 30 years. Red candle with top wicks. We have a 3C short here. 3C short. The S fund and the C fund. The S fund's a small cap. The C fund is the S&P fund. So if you're in the TSP, if you want to know about that, if you want to be invested kind of like a normal 401k or Roth, you put it in the C fund. In the S fund, mixture, depending on what kind of return you want to get. They both mimic the returns of the S&P over 30, 40 years. So you can do that. That's what I've done with. I've always had a blend between the S and C fund, but I've now moved it on to the G fund. And this is the second time I've done it. I did it in 2022, then I moved it back. Now I've done it now, and whenever we do get about a 25 to 30% drawdown, I'll move it back into the S&P. Even if we drop down 25% and I shift it back, and then we drop more to like 40% sell off, that's fine. I've already done my part. I'm not looking to catch the whole move. I just want to reduce my risk for some of that move. And then I'll pile it back in the bottom of the market. So anyway, we have liquidity up to 25,400. It feels like just yesterday we passed through 25,000, and here we are about to tack 25,400. Take it out, put it in Intel. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I love it. Alrighty. What do we got? How's everybody doing with the competition so far? We on the way? Anyone make it funded yet? We should be just about now getting to the point where you can be funded. Any takers? There was a dude last night saying he was close. Well, we just started, so he can't be close yet. But he could be funded. Close to being funded, at least. Funded, one payout. Nice. Heck yeah. Not funded yet, but surviving. Get it closer every day, slow and steady. I love it. 25,400 coming up to 412. First day on the funded yesterday. Nice. We are flagging up here 25,364. It does appear to be a 3C top wick here. We have liquidity up to 25,004. We do have data at the top of the hour. Michigan consumer sentiment. Michigan consumer expectations sentiment. We've got Fed Goolsby, which is going to do it here in about a minute. And I have my time frame opens up at 9:45, so we're all kind of setting up here. Yesterday, beautifully, right at 9:45, the trade unraveled, or the trade set up. Worked out really well, unfolded. So maybe that works out today as well. I'm more interested in a surefire strategy than profits right now. I'm in it for the long term. I love it, Matt. I love it. Nice. Quack is always doing it, baby. Should have 4 funded accounts Monday. Nice, Pastor. I love it, man. I love it. Where did Rashke say the SPX pump close? She has the Rashke's 12 rules, which we talked about at the trade in the OM conference back in Vegas. We went over those. It was the 12 rules that she puts out, and she says whoever controls the book into close is going to have the momentum going into the next session, and that it goes into going into the open and then possibly through the open. So if the book is overwhelmingly crazy bullish into the close, then we're going to have some sort of move either right before the open, big blast off, or into the open. But all it is, she's got 12 rules that are just derivative of price action. It's understanding the order book. That's all it is, which I highly encourage you to go look at them. They're somewhere posted in the channel. They might be pinned somewhere. So you just have it's learning how to interpret the order book, which is in and of itself price action. So 6802 still coming up. NASDAQ is climbing here, 373 up to 2400 or 25400. And look what they did right on this little green candle. Look what they did. They put out that massive liquidity at 25337. There's been some big players putting in liquidity all week. We've been seeing massive liquidity levels on NASDAQ this entire week. Third week. Hello, sir. Are you third-party verified? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what third-party verified is. I have to go to channel to find the live streams. I'm copy trading 5 accounts. Is that all right? Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do. I'm also a couple things to that theory that she has. I did some analysis the other days and noticed that the higher the volume the last 30 days of trading, if it trends stronger, the next day tends to move even harder. Nice. Yeah. I like it, man. Hey, volume. We got some volume on ES. We got some volume on ES. We're now inside my trading time frame here, so we have volume on the S&P. Do we have it on NASDAQ as well? We do. That's only one C, though. We need the second and third C. And then if after that, maybe we'll get a 337 move, which will be 50 points. That'll be nice. Be beautiful. How do we know you're actually good? I guess watch the streams. People find out pretty quickly who's good and who's not. 25,380 down to 25,337 will be my target if we get a 3C top wick. Right here. Well, what's a 5-minute telling us? We do have a top wick on the 5-minute, but the volume hasn't presented itself yet. Of course, we do have data at the top of the hour. 376. Right here. We got 382 looking for this move right into the 25,400, 390. We don't have any top wick yet, and we don't have any lower close. That dude's 100% watching for callouts. Have you disclosed your earnings? To the IRS, I have. Required by law. Yeah. Who's this with the bullet points? Linda Rashke. Linda Rashke has the 12 bullet points about so she puts out those 12 bullet points that lays out how she interprets price action and the order book. Still no shorts, negative. Look at the option chain, man. We have 1.5 billion in calls, 320 million sold puts. So it's right now we're almost 2 billion positive deltas right now on the option chain. So it's exceptionally bullish. Not to say that we won't have a top wick, but the 3Cs right now are not saying short. We do have volume, but we don't have a top wick and we don't have a lower close yet. If that comes, fine, but not yet. Not yet. We're just going to be very patient. If they do top wicket, I'm going to gun for 337, which will be 50 points. Ish. But don't front run. Don't front run, especially on this type of option chain. The option chain is exceptionally bullish. Exceptionally bullish. I hit lots of solo home runs, but I load the bases in his double play ball after, I don't know, base hits wins games. Yeah. Yep. Right here, baby. See what we can do. See what we can do. Do we get a 3C or not? Do we get a 3C or not? Nice and patient, nice and smart. Everything is still flagging higher for now. Just apply the theories that we talk about. This is 363. So there's our move lower on the 5-minute. So we are under the close. If you want to take out the low, your low is 354. If not, oh, there we go. Holy smokerinos, what do they do? That was a quick move. So there you go. There's your top wick with volume. So you see the volume node at the top there. That's something I have to continually pound, is the volume. And if they can get this, see that volume inflow? Man. Over and over and over again, man. It's like a diamond in a rough. It's a diamond in a rough. They took off that liquidity down right to 337 there, so that was my target. I don't think we get it. Do we get it? No. We came about 5 points short of that, but we didn't get it. We didn't get it. They did get that lower move, and now they're holding out right in that area. I don't know what that was. Do we have any kind of news posting, or is that just pure liquidity? If that's pure liquidity, then that may be another instance of them selling into higher prices of high volume stuff. Look at this. Look at this. Booyah. No, it's not Michigan Consumer yet. We still have 9 minutes for that. We still have 9 minutes. But look what happens on this chart. Look at this. Look at this. High volume, where does it occur at? High prices. High volume, where does it occur at? High prices. So we have all these instances. Come on now. Move drawings. We have all these instances of selling into high prices, which is distribution on the 1 minute chart. And then, of course, now we have this blowdown, 337, all the way down. All the way down. So, once again, man, volume is where it needs to go. It's the easiest way for me to direct y'all to more consistent trading. It's palpable, the presence of sellers compared to previous weeks. 100% agree, Chris. 100% agree. 100% agree. Which is why a lot of people have been having more issues this week, is because it's a little bit more difficult this past week or so than the prior 3 months. The prior 3 months, it's like biscuit train with gravy train with biscuit wheels. Just buy the dip and wait. The past week, it's been a little more difficult. My win rate's dropped a little bit. And most people are having a little bit of issues here because we're having a lot more aggressive sells, and that's perfectly fine. You just have to notice that, take a step back, reduce your position sizing, your trading frequency, and be aware of the fact that we're getting a lot more selling flows than we have in the past couple of months. Do I do zero DTEs? I've been paper trading with zeros and have success with MACD scalps. I do not do zero DTEs much anymore. Every now and then I'll throw on a small zero DTE, but I don't. I'm usually sticking to futures and swing options. Right here, 25,337 coming on down. Right through the 339 liquidity. If they do absorb under this level, which it appears they're going to try, of course you'll just look for the morning low. But remember, we have data in 6 minutes. I don't have my watch. It's charging again. With 6 minutes, we have data. ES has a little bit of liquidity building lower here. But once again, strong flows. Strong flows. Laid that out absolutely beautifully once again. Just like yesterday, man. It worked. I mean, yesterday, 945, beautiful walkthrough. This one, same thing. Just higher prices into selling or higher volume prices. And then you get that top wick, and then you get the close, and booyah. How far out with the futures, and what do you mean by swing options? What do you mean by how far out? Well, so I'm not doing options on futures. I'm just doing the futures contracts. So, yeah, I can't really say your name. It's a little vulgar, but hey. Yeah, so I'm doing futures contracts, which is not options. So I'll take the closest expiration contract, which in this case is December, and I'll just play those as I need to with my trades. Swing trades, I'm doing options because that's where the big money is. Swing options is where the money is made. That's where I get my that is where I get my income from. Those are swing options. Another top wick here on the 1. Let's take a look at the 5. What do we have? Large sweeping top wicks moving lower, 25,332. Coming on down to 25,293. Hey, where's G7? Is he here? I want to see if he watched that video and if that cleared up anything, or if I need to go over his questions again. GG7, is that him? Something like that? All right, another top wick here, still holding a little bit lower. We have data in 4 minutes. They're buying back some of the puts. They're not really selling too many calls. They sold off some of the calls, but they're still maintaining a good amount of calls here. So, yeah. All right, so what question do you have and follow up the video? I want to make sure that I get everything straightened out for you. E has just closed below R3, and Q is testing R3. Nice. Once again, rejecting R2, my R2, not the Camilla. Right here. So this is a triple top off of that 67395 that we set on R2 right here. If you notice, I still don't have any macro levels to the upside because I don't really know what to consider as a macro up on the R5 through R1, simply because there's not a lot up here. You have the obvious targets like 60, 100, stuff like that, but yeah. Did I post in here? What do you mean? Post what? Yes, I watched it. Thanks for checking. I do have a question. What do you mean by when the candle closes after the wick candle? For example, do you mean the next candle after the wick has to open above the close of the wick candle? So, good question. So, to start the answer, number one is that it doesn't. The reactionary candle for the third C doesn't have to be necessarily the very next candle. So, in a process where if you have a bottoming phase that takes an hour, it's the whole process. And remember, it's conceptual on where does the market create the support and where does the market need to break out to start the upswing, the right side of the V. So where's a good example? Something like this is a good example. If you take this whole bottoming process, obviously we have the first instance of high volume occur on this candle right here, right? And it puts in the bottom, let's do something a little bit more accurate. It puts in a bottom about right there. And then as we come along here, we have multiple instances of bottom wick with a little slightly elevated volume, and collectively, this whole block of volume is higher than anything we saw that morning. So we had an uptick in volume collectively in this area. So in my mind, I'm thinking, my next question in this process is, all right, what level do we need to really breach here to start to capture the right side of the V, the rest of this move? And you can really figure it out. So number one would be the obvious instances where right here, this engulfing green would take out, not only the close, but the high of the prior candle. And then after that, the next target is going to be, all right, well, where's the major sweeping moves? This whole area right here would be a target of mine, simply because we have a bottom wick and a top wick. That is this SR flip. That's a liquidity zone right here. So I'm going to kind of do a blending of a couple of stuff. That's why I tell you all the first two criteria are technical. The third criteria is more of an art form. It's more of an interpretation. That's where experience has its most weight in the third C, because everyone can point out volume, everyone can point out the wick. The third C is conceptual. It's an art form. So I need to be able to see the market take higher highs, and that is a blending of multiple time frames. It's a blending of All right, well, how strong of a level do we have, etc. Now, the easy answer is just a higher high. You just take a prior candle, you pick the high of that candle, and that's what you want to break. You can do a close. I think a close is very accurate as well because the prior close is where the market has already absorbed, dealt with on that time frame, and then closed that candle. So that is a very good one as well. But the easy answer is just the prior high of the prior candle. The harder answer is it really depends on what the setup is. Do I have a video explaining when you take your entries? Yes, sir. So I've got a obviously YouTube channel that's free. I've posted hundreds of videos over the past couple of years, outlining every part of my system. So I encourage you to dig into that. The most recent one I would look for is the 3C video, where I outline everything about the 3Cs in a very condensed format, so you can kind of a blending of a long form and short form video. You make more money on swing options than you do on NASDAQ contracts. Absolutely. So the reason why I'm so calculated and so strict with my swing trade entries is because those are what pay the bills. The scalping and the day trading and stuff, that's great. Especially with the prop firms, it's great. But that's not where the big money is. I'm never ever going to be able to put on a six-figure scalp, but I do put on six-figure swing trades because that's the difference. Because if you can put on a high-quality trade and catch a multi-week, multi-month move on swing trades, that right there is going to pay for many, many weeks and months of scalping, just that one trade. That's just the nature of swing trading. Swing trading is always going to be day trading across the board. I don't care who you are. Oil's bouncing right off that level. Nice. Little 3C bounce on oil. All right, there's our Michigan consumer where they sold off some puts. Or I'm sorry, they bought back some puts. No, sold off some puts and then bought back some calls. Do I post and discuss those trades? I do. I post those all on the Swing channel. Another top wick with volume. This looks a little distributive to me. Large sweeping red candle right here with the top wick. What's the day's lows? I need to turn my indicator back on, see if it won't make things wonky. There we go. All right. I know you're not a pattern guy, but head and shoulders on the higher time frames. Yeah, that means nothing to me. I just don't track head and shoulders. The closest I get to pattern trading is wedges would be the closest thing, and even then it's delicate. I've only been around for a few weeks, but I haven't heard you mention swing trades. I haven't taken swing trade in a while. Simply one because from May until end of June, I took a pretty heavy break from trading. And then, of course, since then, all I've been doing is just buying the dip. That's it. It's just been up. So, yeah, we'll get around to it. Given the last few months, maybe we should have been buying 14 DTE. No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You did call for Tesla for weeks while I was in the high 200s. Yeah. A lot of people took that trade, too. So, I read MES as a 3C short, but you mentioned a 3C bounce. Where did I go wrong? I was looking at the 950 candle. Today? Did I say 3C bounce? I thought I said 3C short. Yeah, so this right here, it looks like distribution for this. All of this price action right here looks distributive. We have multiple top wicks on the shorter time frames, and then of course we keep getting these aggressive flows lower. Right here. Maybe I'll get into option swing trading once prop firms make some money. Do it. If you are in the prop firm game, man, I would I would use all of your prop firm proceeds to build a personal account, because the days like, I can't imagine that they are going to continue to allow retail traders to make this kind of money. I mean, the amount of money I made in September was ridiculous. And other people are making even more money than I am. I just don't see how that's possible for them to continue to allow that in the manner in which we're doing it, at least. So I think there's going to be some regulations hit the prop firm market eventually. So I would encourage you all, make hay while the sun's shining. Drive every dollar you can out of the props and put them into a personal account and use that as your trading income. Copy trading has brought a new aspect to trading. It's quite ridiculous. Quite ridiculous. A little bit further red here. A little bit further red. Shifting lower. We have no more data for the rest of the day, so that is it. Oh, that's not true. We have federal budget balance at 2 o'clock, which is going to be a non-event. So other than that, we have nothing left. Let's see. Still shifting lower. Still looks distributive. We have 67.85 and then 67.70 on ES. NASDAQ, we have down to 25.294. Friend uses them on lottery tickers and made 50K on 5 accounts. Yeah, I mean it can be if you've got an edge, it can be a fantastic tool. Fantastic tool. If you're a degenerate, then it's going to destroy your life. How do you keep from going live on TPT? Once you take five payouts, they move you to live, and or if you have a $10,000 day, they move you to live. So don't do either one of those things. Remind me, do I use an initial stop at 15 or 20? It depends. It really depends on the market setup. It depends on what the structure is. It depends on my confidence. Normally, it's about 15, 20. Normally. But I just don't throw everything into just a 15 point just because that's it. So I'm thinking like right here, for example. Let's say theoretically you want to take a long. I don't know. I'm not, but let's just say you did. Although I should, because that's a high volume bounce right there. I want to have my stop below this structure, because if it smokes this candle with that high volume, that shows you how aggressive the sellers are in the event that this does that. For some reason, I don't see the swing channel. Yeah, so it's going to be the 2025 trades channel. You're welcome. Once you get $52,000 in the account, do you take payouts on everything you make above, or do you do the bigger buffer? It depends. I usually like to build in twice the drawdown. Usually. So, and I'll take anything, usually take anything above that. It really depends. It depends on my financial requirements. It depends on, I don't know. It just depends. I try to do twice the buffer. It depends. If I have a large payout, I'll take like 80% of the payout and leave 20% of the funds in there to kind of grow it. Top Step, I was growing so fast that I just left it in there and just, obviously with Top Step, they only let you take out 5K every 5 days anyway. So I was forced to create a large buffer, but not trading related, but I'm thinking about forming an umbrella LLC for my business, trading, sports betting, online reselling. Right now I'm just running everything that goes sole proprietor. I know tax-wise I'm getting destroyed, plus I don't have the asset protection LLC offers. There you go. Yeah, plus you can write everything off in an LLC. If there's one thing I found, though, man, there's only so much you can do. The IRS is going to get their pound of flesh. There's only so much you can do. The only way to truly get your money away from the IRS is with a good financial planner. Accountants are worthless. Completely. You could have the best accountant in the world. Guess what? Unless he's fraudulent, completely worthless. You have to get yourself a good financial advisor to shift your money into a solo sept, into the oil funds, into tax-deferred investment vehicles. And even then, you're still paying out money. It's just you get to keep it. You just don't see it until you retire when you're 55 or 60. Trust me, I have gone to accountants, sat down in front of them, and says, I want you to have one foot on either side of the line of legal, and I want you to save me as much money as you can. There's only so much they can do. There's only so much you can do. My account used to work for the IRS. Yeah. So the best answer is get yourself a good financial planner. Definitely I want one that'll work in the gray. Yep. Or expatriate, yeah. This is basically now a no trade zone at this point. Right now, I'd like to see something clear set up. Now, we did have a super high volume bottom wick there on the 5-minute, but it's just presenting itself as a doji. So, Fridays are either blast off days or they're this. And so far right now it's looking a little tight. We had one beautiful short opportunity there. Other than that, there is, nice little buy the dip opportunity setting up here. It's not, it's not going so fast, but by default, an account simply has the skills to account for the movements of money, not to plan for it. Yeah. Yeah. And they're way too expensive. Way too expensive. They changed the capital gains rates. I saw that. Yeah. And they raised the tax brackets for 2026. I saw as well. ES needs to clear 67.98 for the third C. Yeah, I would say that. Although it technically already has a third C. Right here would have been the official entry for the third C. But if you want confirmation, 67.98, that's 10 points off the bottom. So you're probably waiting a little too long for that. Did they raise the top Fed limit? They did. Yeah, I think 575 is what I saw for the top income bracket, which is fantastic. There's always money in the banana stand. Yep. All right, 67.95. So we do have this little bit of a trend line here that I'm sure you see. It's one of those obvious ones that we've now broken. We do have a high volume 3C bounce that's set up very, very slowly. Can you explain a prop firm? Are the cuts the same in the account you manage? Prop firm, what we refer to a prop firm nowadays, the retail prop firms, is you pick a company. You pay anywhere between $30 to $200 depending on the company, and you are assigned an evaluation account. You have to pass that evaluation through a profit goal, given a certain rule, set of parameters and rules. You have to pass that account. Once you pass it, they provide you a simulated account. It's still a sim account, but it's called a funded account of which you trade, and they pay you real money based on the profits you gained in that simulated account. You're paid out as a 1099 employee. So you owe a tax split on that payout. It's not investment income. It's 1099 payout. By the way, big red candle. Any trades yet? Yeah, I took that one trade this morning. Now I'm not in anything. Netflix has moved up to $100 since last Friday. Elon bought the dip. Hey man, that's another example of buy the emotional stocks. All these emotional political stocks that get beat down. Buy them. Over and over and over again. That emotional crap overreacts. Everything still looks distributive to me. Look at not only on the 1-minute chart, but zoom out. Zoom out a little bit. What do you see throughout the pre-market? Look at this. What do you see here? The selling flows are getting more aggressive. That's why last Friday, October 3rd, that's why I put on my distribution thesis, because we're getting more and more aggressive selling flows amidst all this selling. Selling into higher prices is a hallmark sign of distribution. Did you hear they're changing the name of NASDAQ to NVIDIA? Ha! I love it. NVIDIA is going nuts, by the way. Yeah. VIX is holding. NASDAQ still selling. Still coming off. So next week we do have CPI scheduled, assuming that they do report. So we will see. Is Dan golfing again? Probably. 326 here on NASDAQ, looking for 300. This is now the third attempt for these lower prices. So, yeah, 320. And then 312 will be the touch of this lower candle, and after that we're going to look for 295. So, coming off. The flows are aggressive. It looks distributive. I told you that this morning. It looks just distributive. So I don't like it. I don't like the buy the dip setup so far because everything looks distributive. I'm seeing a lot of aggressive selling flows. I'm seeing some aggressive red candles. This appears to be a honeypot. Look at the options chain as well. The options chain opened aggressively bullish. And what's happening now? They're selling off all the calls. They're buying back all the puts. So things look distributive. It looks like they're going to play a little shake and bake here. A little shake and bake. Until you have a high volume 3C bottom wick, no longs. Not until you have those indications. This needs to be a little bit lower, although it doesn't really matter. There you go. Nice, Kennedy. Love it. All right, coming on down to the day's lows of 25,293. Let's take a look at ES. ES has right here, just touched the low of the day. Looks like it's going to put a new low in the day in. Beautiful. 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 It's not often you hear me say don't buy the dip, huh? Looks distributive. You're trying to figure out when not to buy the dip? Combining OM macro pivots with the VPN daily Accumulation changed the game for me. Nice, Matt. I love it, buddy. Change the game. I hope you have continued success. Keep it up. Keep it up. Y'all's success is why I'm here, man. I love it. I love it. I love positivity. I love positivity. In a career field that's so negative, I love positivity. So in this environment, a high volume bottom on Tesla, like on Tesla, is not as valuable for a bounce. No, it is. It is. What I'm saying here is that if you are going to buy the dip in a distributed environment, you just have to really lean on the third C. That's what I'm saying. You need a high volume wick. You need a bottom wick. You need the third C. Whereas in months past, sometimes I took I took a trade based on simply just the first C, or even just the first two. But in this environment, you've got to wait for the third C, which is higher high. You've got to. Because we're beginning to distribute in one of these days, they're going to wreck the charts. One of these days. That's where that experience level comes into play. That's why I'm trying to verbalize everything I'm thinking here, that this looks distributive. It looks like they're trying to sell off into higher prices because that's what they're doing. And when they do that, they're going to catch the charts off guard here. And I don't want someone to try to buy the dip here and then this thing drops 200 points. So the third C is critical. Now there's still some great buy the dip opportunities here. I'm not saying that because, I mean, look, you still could have caught, I don't know. It would have been great on NASDAQ, would have probably been a little more lucrative. And then right here is another one. So there's still plenty of buy the dip opportunities. Here, here, here. All supported with high volume. You know, right at the low prices, all these volume hit. It's just, it's not paying very well because they keep on distributing lower. That's what I'm saying. What do you think, Kennedy? You think this trend line breaks or what? 5-minute high volume bottom wick, 15-minute, multiple bottom wicks in the 15-minute. That makes sense, kind of reeling in the expectation we have a better environment. Patience pays. Yep. Yep. I don't know if I'm going to be right or not on my distribution thesis. You know, time will tell. It could take weeks, months, it could take days. We don't know. More irrespective micro trends. Yeah. Yeah. The morning low touch and bounce is so consistent. It is. It's fantastic. You know, I love the morning high and low range. It's fantastic. It's one of the few indicators that will never come off my chart. It's just, it's beautiful. There's another rejection of the trend right there. $330. So we've got 330 here, hanging out. So what I want you to do in times like this, when things are a little slow, just do some multiple time frame analysis, 1, 5, 15. Take your little drawing tool and mark what their volume is, and then go mark what candle did it come in on that, and then figure out what happens there. So use your time wisely here. Don't just sit there all slack-jawed looking at the charts. Just figure out where the volume's coming in at and decide what's the most likely outcome into the afternoon. What are we seeing here? So every time we have volume, let's look at the volume spikes. We have 5 notable volume spikes on the chart. Where did they come in at? Here, here, which noted distribution into a markdown event. We have this one here. We have this one here. We have this one here, all which noted the bottoms. So it's not crazy price action. We're only dealing with about a 50 to 60 point moves each on NASDAQ, but it's still noting the pivots, which is pretty consistent with what happens with volume. So if you see volume, you should immediately ask yourself the question, what's going to happen next? Do I need to enter or get out of a trade? Volume is always indicative of activity. You should never be, what's the word I'm looking for? You should never be lazy on volume. There's always something that's going to change when you see volume. It's almost that time of year where I can roll flannel. Oh, this is woodcutting year for me, man. Woodcutting season, I love it. Last night I dropped 2 black locust trees. I get to chop those up this weekend. I'm pumped. You know I'm getting old when I get pumped for. I got some good new axes this year. Don't just sit there and listen to OM dad jokes. That's right. Slapped on the hockey jersey for the first time last night. Well, is that goal regulation size or what? Love it. What axe you like? I have the Granford Brooks, which I'm probably destroyed the pronunciation of that, but they're fantastic axes, man. Fantastic. I got them on sale last year. I'll wait till everything goes on sale. I don't buy anything full price. They are Swedish, yeah. Yeah. They are Swedish. This is here. I'll give you the website. I have the forestry axe, the chopping axe, and the wedge. Looks like the market-wide green candles. Yeah. So we're still coming up here. We have 1.2 billion in calls, 358 million in puts. We have this little green move here, the high volume bounce coming up here. We have another volume spike here, but it's still climbing up. Can I take a look at CL? Let's take a look at CL, sure. I'm currently not in a trade. So oil has gotten wrecked today. It's the reason why XLE is the lone green or the lone red name on the S&P. So what do we have here going back? We have this nice little SR flip that's approximately in this area, roughly here. We have the 60 mark. We have 59.95, which is where we are now. We have some of the largest collective volume we've had in weeks on oil, which means we might have hit a base here, maybe. It's been a decent sell for the oil as of late, but this is the highest collective volume we've had on the 15-minute chart now for a while. So if it takes out this, it's probably going to have an aggressive sell, but if it bases, you might have an opportunity up to 6160 or so. It's great. So just watch this morning here. This is the 15-minute chart, by the way. So these 3 15-minute candles are collectively the largest volume we've had in a while. But yeah, oil's getting crushed right now. These axes are the best. They chop wood. They do chop wood like butter. It makes it fun. Yeah. So a volume is spiking at each new low, but price keeps dropping lower. Does that mean they're just going to take off to the moon? Well, I mean, I see what you mean. Yes. So if this continues and you continue to have high volume inflows at every little rotation lower, then they're just accumulating for a possible bounce, 100%. So there are axes like them all. So they have, they have a bunch of different ones. So, here you've got these products. They've got splitting axes, which I've got one too, and it's fantastic. I've got a splitting maul. I've got a force axe. Yeah, I have the force axe. It's fantastic. I love it. When I go hunting, I carry it with me. If I'm doing some, trail clearing, I'll carry it with me to whack off some small limbs. What makes it tough is a break of a high volume bounce shows weak buyers, yet that break doesn't continue lower, just finds more buyers right below. Yeah, that usually forms its double bounce. The double bounce when that stuff happens. All right, a little bit of red with the high volume inflow. Right here. So there's a volume with the top. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. Oh my gosh. Is that part of the accumulation process, or would you call that a lower? I call it low volume touch. Which part? Okay. I'll give you something. The double bottom when it forms. Yeah, so, and that's the shakeout phase, right? So it's very, very common that when the market wants to bounce, they do a double bounce format. And that's just the way they shake out liquidity, make the book a little bit more inefficient, and then they climb it. Gather more inventory. When you look to take a bounce play, through my backtesting, of course, you need to decide, do you want to take the first bounce or be patient and wait for the second bounce? It's amazing how well they can tap my SL and turn back north. Well, they know you're there. Not you, but the collective you. Usually take the first stop out, watch the second. Oh, that's usually what happens to everybody. They're not patient enough to wait for the second bounce. They want to FOMO in. Holy crap, I don't want to miss this bounce. They get in, it rotates lower, stops you out, then bounce, and then you end up throwing your keyboard. That's just the way it happens. So with my back testing, every single time, unless it's a high confident environment, which doesn't happen very much, most of the time, when I see a high volume bounce, my immediate response is be patient. Wait for the trade to unfold, get that secondary move, and it could be a very strong secondary sell-off to bounce, or it could be just a little weak top wick that bounces, and then you take entry. But patience usually does well for me. Very rarely does patience keep me from making money. You can never have too much patience in trading. And patience definitely costs me more money. Yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely does. Getting out of trades too early because you're impatient to take money, getting into trades too early, and patience is no bueno. Just like if you're dating like a super hot chick, man, and you tell you love her too soon, like you're just being impatient. I'm like, no, man. She's like, you're weird. I'm out. You got to be patient. You got to date her. You got to date the trade, man. You can't just marry the trade right too early. 436 million inputs, 921 million in calls. I'm telling Mrs. OM. Too late. This trade. Oh my gosh. No. Don't be like Wootloot, man. Patience is the cheapest trait to build in trading, most expensive to reject. Absolutely. Taking one trade today, one single trade, that's it. I'm waiting on my secondary trade. I missed some time as distributive. I mean, on the daily charts, I do think we're in that distribution phase. There's a lot more selling the past week than we have seen in a while. But remember, we have to bring all the flies in with honey, to get the bears to capitulate, to get the remaining bulls to chase the longs, or the tepid to chase the longs. We have to show these flows. But if you look at across multiple time frame analysis from the 5 all the way up to the daily, we're seeing more selling than usual at higher prices incorporated with volume. So they're selling into higher prices. So I think we are need here. We're due for that retracement. They're selling off inventory here. At least that's my thesis. I could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong before. So yesterday I went to the store to get 2 chain for my chainsaw, because it's that time of year again. So I was like, hey, I need two 20-inch chains for my chainsaw. She put them on the counter and scanned it. She goes, that'll be $111.58. And I was like, I'm sorry. Did I say diamond-plated chainsaw chains or just regular chainsaw chains? These are regular chainsaw chains for $111. She's like, yeah, things have gone up a little bit. Still, yeah. I was like, I'm about to start doing hand sawing on these trees. Oregon chains are pretty good value. I'm gonna have to switch chains. Like these apparently luxury chains are a little crazier. Yeah, I sharpen them, but the chain I had, I've already maxed out its lifespan. Trust me, I'm cheap, man. I'll sharpen that thing until there's nothing left. But it got to the point where it wouldn't even cut the wood, so I had to get new chains. That's what I have. I have one of those sharpening guides. Everything's expensive. It is. It's crazy expensive out there, man. It's a little annoying. Move, it'll be cheaper. Yeah. Make like a beaver and just chew on them. Heck yeah, man. The YouTube crew's quiet today. We are dead flat on NASDAQ, obviously. 25,333, just chilling. Not moving at all. If you are tier 2, be ready. Sunday, we'll have our weekly brief. We had our tier 2 call last week, which means next week will be our next tier 2 call. Hey, red candles. Looks distributive. Keep on having these high volume dumps, man. I'll sharpen the chain about 6 times. I'll take it to the pro. There you go. I could buy you one in Indiana, ship it. We cut down our trees long ago. Nice. High rent's making life hard for many. It is. It is. It's terrible. It's crime that how expensive it is to just live. It's terrible. With the amount of pain people are feeling, how is it possible that they're saying inflation is dropping? I know it's at the rate it's slowing, but people are feeling it big time. There's no way to tell, man. You know, the data is so garbage that we don't, the day-to-day life, it's obvious. I mean, things are outrageously expensive. It's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to see what they say. How can I upgrade and become tier 2? If you want to become a tier 2 member, just go to the website, just like you sign up for tier 1, and go ahead and sign up for tier 2, and then shoot me a DM, and I'll set you up with the tier 2 access, and we'll figure out the proration depending on where you are with your membership already. When the banks start getting hurt, that's when they'll make a change. That's when things will start going crazy. The banks run everything. The bonds, everything is through the banks. So when the banks start taking a beating like they did in 2007, 2008, that's when things will change. I accept chainsaw blades for tier 2 payment, yeah. I asked Google how long it takes the dollar to halve. They said 2001, every 4 years it halves. That's crazy. You're welcome, Jester King. Already banks taking hits, some small banks right now. Give me Silicon Valley vibes, yeah. Can you check out my last 3 messages? Yeah, let's take a look. If you were in your mid-20s and making good money day trading for a living, would you focus more on long-term investments or would you try to allocate towards buying land? Keep pushing money into long-term or start another savings toward homes. Can you check out? Okay. If you were to ask me 15 years ago when I was in my mid-20s, holy crap, I would have said, hands down, long-term stocks and land, period. Right now, things are a little crazy. I don't like everything is so incredibly inflated, and I kind of talked about this yesterday that I don't know where we're going to go from here. Everything across the board is incredibly inflated. And if you're in assets, it's been good for you. The cost of land per acre, the cost of real estate, the cost, stock market, everything, 401ks, everything is incredibly, incredibly elevated so quickly that we're seeing levels of allocation that I didn't think I would see for the next 20 years. I wouldn't like right now. My neck of the woods is some people are asking $100,000 per acre for country land. I'm not talking about luxury lakeside, high-end homes. I'm talking country bumpkin living, $100,000 an acre, and it's ridiculous. So I had no idea that I'd ever see, and that's up in 5 years. It's gone from $18,000 to $15,000 an acre to $100,000 an acre. Housing costs are $330 a square foot for a new construction is normal. You're going to get laughed out of the office if you ask a builder for anything less than about $330 a square foot. Stock market, Nasdaq's at 25.3, ES is at 6,800. So I don't know. All I can say right now is if you are in your mid-20s and you are doing very well with your day trading, you need to start allocating into long-term investments regardless. So 401k is your primary mechanism. Then you could do your Roth. Well, Roth should be your primary. Once you max out your 401k, and if you have an employer, make sure you're hitting the full match and then 15%. And after that, you start looking into, all right, well, I need to gobble up land. And my best advice is to gobble up the crappiest piece of land you can that has future potential, that you could hire someone with a bulldozer to clear it off, something that no one else wants to do, and start to just allocate assets, high value, low cost assets through the process of a little sweat equity. If you're going to buy something that's curbside ready, then you're going to pay a premium for it, and that's not a good investment. You don't want to go buy the best looking property. You want to go buy the crappiest thing you can find that has future potential that you can clear out and then sit on for a couple of years. If it's a real estate house, find the crappiest house in the best neighborhood with a school zone that people want to go into, because people will pay hand over foot to get their kids into a good school zone. Either way is that if you're in your mid-20s, you can't do nothing. Forget about video games. Forget about chasing freaking, bar scene. Find yourself a wife or husband if you're a girl. Develop a strong family, strong centered family, and then grind. Gobble up assets. Forget about buying stupid cars. My kid right now is into Corvettes. I'm like, forget about stupid Corvettes. Buy up assets. I bought 3 homes during the housing collapse of 8 in 2010 for $75,000, now worth $600,000. I love it. Thank you for your advice, trying to figure out which best avenue to add. Yeah, it's a very weird time, I've always been a big proponent of real estate. I have multiple properties myself. Admittedly, I struggle with every day, do I need to sell these? The valuations of the property are so ridiculous that it's like, do I just go ahead and sell and forget about the rental income, or do I? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, I don't know what to do. Marrying my wife has been the single greatest decision I ever made. 100%. My wife is my best friend and my best financial asset ever. It's unbelievable. The person you choose to marry will be the biggest decision you ever make financially, and of course spiritually and everything else, but certainly financially. Certainly financially. It could wreck you or make you. It's funny because you're the total opposite of most of these lame YouTube traders with cigars and cars and the pink. Because it's idiotic, man. It's idiotic. If you're 25 years old making... Here's the thing. Unless you're like Patrick Wayland, Like that dude's making 12 million plus a year. He can afford to piss away a bunch of money on cars, whatever. So be it. If you're worth that kind of money, cool, go buy a Lamborghini. If you're only worth one, or let's say you are one of these 25-year-old YouTubers who's done well and he's making $2 million, you have no business buying a Lamborghini. Unless you have FU money, which is about 7+ million, you have no business buying a supercar. You have no business buying a $100,000 watch. You have no business buying a $2 million home until you have FU money. So that's the way I approach it. It's like I want to ensure the longevity of not myself but my grandkids. $7 million net liquid worth is my definition of FU money, in my opinion. Net liquid worth, not wrapped up in assets. Whereas tomorrow, if I needed $7 million in cash, I could pull the trigger and have it without selling off my house, is what I'm saying. And I'm not there yet. I'm actually quite a ways off from that. I'm telling Mrs. Ohm you called her a financial asset. Go ahead. I've told her that before, that she was the best decision I ever made. So, do I have better use for those funds right now? No, I don't. I don't have a wife or kids, but I'm old and still actively dating, and I love it. I don't think I'm the marrying kind. That's okay. More power to you. I spent my 20s chasing girls and drinking, and now I'm 37. Like, oh yeah, I should probably start a retirement account. Yes, you should. It's never too late. Do it. All right, big green bounce with another high volume bounce. You see that? That's a double bounce. If we just talked about double bounces. High volume, bounce, double bounce, go. Why 7? A couple years ago, I calculated how much money I would need to make to sustain my life for the rest of my life without working or bringing in any other type of income. Would be 7. And I mean no other types of income. If I were to sell off everything and have $7 million in cash, I could live off that the rest of my life without doing any other investments or any other working. I'm sure it's probably higher now with given the cost of everything now, but it sure does feel like we're in a real estate bubble. It feels like we're in an everything bubble. That's what I'm fighting here. Is it feels like we're in an everything bubble. I spent my entire life building assets so I could at least live comfortably in my later ages, but now it's just it's alarming. 3 C's will get you there, hopefully. Yeah. Appreciate the input and insight. Nice, Mark. Appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate you. Government will take care of everybody. Thanks, Damien. Yeah. 11 million is top 1%. Yeah, net worth. Well, I mean, that's why it's so hard to have. It's so hard to get. I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm not even close. I've got to say your stories and your podcast about your background are very inspirational. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate you. You know, it's my story is a lot of preparation meets hard work, meets a little bit of luck. 2020 till 2025, if you were properly positioned in any way, it should have drastically changed your life the last 5 years. This is insane. I went from having some pretty decent investments that probably would have done okay in the next 20 years to, holy crap, I've changed my entire, I've changed my kids' lives. It's insane. Between the real estate and the land I bought in 2020, I bought this 50-acre farm in 2020. It's gone up 3 times in value already. I paid $20,000 an acre. Right now, I'm getting a quota for 60. I'm getting offers. I'm getting right now offers for 50, and I'm getting quota for 65 an acre for this land. I've got 5 homes. I had 6. I sold 1. I've got 5 real estate homes that I bought for nothing back in 2018, 2012. So it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It's an everything bubble, and I don't know what to make of it. I never thought I would ever see these valuations in 20 years, much less in 5. I had 100 ounces of silver, but I sold that in 2018. So all I did try to do is put myself in a position to grow over the next 30 years, and whatever's happened the past 5 has drastically accelerated the process. And I don't know what to make of it. It's a little scary, to be honest with you. I got 62 pounds of silver bullion. What's the best way to sell? Holy crap, dude. Well, the fastest way to sell will be go down to one of these silver collectors or silver like pawn shop type places, and they'll give you, 90, 80, 85, 80% of the value, but they'll sell it on the spot. You don't have to deal with anything. You could do one of these online places that sells by the ounce, but you may not get the market value for it. I'm probably not the best person to ask. I'm just trying to regurgitate what I learned when I was trying to sell my silver. But I'm sure someone else has got a better answer than I do. I've heard about your grind sharpening the axe, and the only foam I feel is that I'm not grinding hard enough, sharpening fast enough, so it's driving me. How old are you, Phil? You're 35. Okay. Well, there's still plenty of time. Do you have a family, wife and kids? Newborn, married last year. Beautiful. Well, congratulations on the newborn and the wife. It's beautiful. Well, I'm the only thing I can offer is that don't do nothing. Life goes by very fast. I feel like I just graduated high school, and here I am. I'm probably closer to death than I am to my birth, which is a little spooky, but it's the truth. I'm almost 40 years old. So the only thing I can offer is don't do nothing. Do something. Every day, what's something you can do to just inch your way towards the next step? Forget about, I've wasted time. Forget about I'm too old. Forget about all that. Just one step at a time. What can you do to move the needle? A lot of people who are frustrated and angry all the time and just in the throes of life, it's because they're not changing, they're not moving, they're staying in the same place year after year, day after day, and they're watching their friends and other people progress in their careers and life and finances and everything, and you're not doing anything. You're same exact place you were a year ago, and that's the travesty, is not making any progress, one way or another, fitness related, financial related, spiritually related. I'm a big proponent of obviously religion, well not religion, but my faith in Jesus. So you gotta continually progress day after day, day after day. Do something to progress your life every day. Max out. If you've got an employer, max out your match. Make sure you're doing that. Then put in 15%, and then after that, and once that box is checked and you can forget about that, figure out your next step. Can I find a piece of land somewhere that I could do something with? Can I find a home that I can rent out? Can I do something? Can I get a second job that'll give me some extra income until I figure something out? Can I create a job? Right now, you know what? Look at. I always use my brother-in-law as a prime example. And I'm watching the price action. There's not much moving here. My brother-in-law is a prime example, and I talk about him all the time. Dude currently still is a car dealership salesman. He's done pretty well for himself, but he was tired of working weekends. He still is. So he created a pressure washing company, and he's starting to land $10,000-$15,000 jobs doing just pressure washing. He literally bought a $5,000 trailer that had all the little stuff on it, the pressure washing stuff, and he does that. He got his certifications. He's upgrading equipment. Now he's starting to get $10,000 and $15,000 corporate contracts. After that, now he's starting a Christmas light hanging company. So he just hangs Christmas lights for people on during the holidays. He just landed a $5,900 job putting Christmas lights up for people. And the gig is he owns the lights, he puts them up for you, and he takes them down for one flat cost when the season's over, and he keeps the lights. So over the years, his lights inventory will grow and grow and grow, and he'll be able to do more jobs. The point is that pick something and do it. People will find a way for people to give you money. And that's all you need to do. Forget about some sexy job. Forget about, I need to create a business that's, revolutionary. No, you don't. Get dirty. The guy that dug my septic tank, poop. The guy that dug my septic tank, I paid him $14,000 to dig and put in my septic system. He said that he was working as a linesman for the electric company and he hated it. And he was building a house and he didn't want to pay what they were asking to do a septic tank. So what did he do? He learned how to do it. It was a one-day course with the city to get certified to put in septic tanks. He learned the book. He rented a backhoe. He did the whole thing for himself. That day, he filed an LLC to start a company doing septic tank builds. And ever since then, he's been working for himself. And that was 15 years ago. So the point is, there's money out there to be had. The average American does not want to put in the effort because they're terrified of popping the teat out of their mouth. They want the teat of the W-2. And there's money out there to be had. There's gold in them there hills. But people don't want to take the risk of putting their neck out there for it. They're scared of what their friends will tell them about, oh, you're starting your own job. That's risky. They're terrified of what their parents are going to say, what their family's going to say. They're terrified of, literally quitting their jobs, which I'm not saying, screw your job, all that fun stuff I say on the podcast and my intro, that's fun. But the W-2 is very important as you get up on your feet. The problem is you got to take that first step. You got to take that first step and just go start a job, a side gig. Just do it. Even if you bring in an extra $1,000 a month, that's still going to help your family, right? Anyway. You mentioned earlier there's no fear in the market. Is that why the VIX remains low? Yes, ma'am. So one of the things Spot Gamma talks about right now is that there's zero pricing in fear in the market, aka protection, hedging. That's why the VIX remains. Now the VIX is slightly elevated from what it was last year. We were hanging out 13, 14, 14 and a half. Now we're kind of trudging along at 16 or so. So there's a small uptick. But yes, that's why the VIX remains low, is that there's very little positioning for fear in the market. My friend of mine moves dirt. He made $250,000 last year. He moves dirt. Yeah. Sick of doing carpentry side jobs on the weekends. 8 years ago, I bought a box truck and a contract with the Menards here to get their box loads. I've been my old boss for my entire 30s. Not sexy, but people. Yeah, nice. Nice. See, you're always hard on yourself, farmer, but that's an awesome thing. Be proud of yourself. I work as a financial advisor portfolio manager specializing in high networking worth clients. Anyone in the server is welcome to DM me in that regard. Just don't tell your real name so I can't count you as a real client. Nice. Yeah, there you go. We have assets in here, man. Talk to each other. It's good stuff. My wife and I are looking for land right now to build on. I'm just trying to be patient. Let God show us what he wants timing for us. Hey, I'm considering selling 10 to 12 acres. Just saying. You could be my neighbor. Although you may not want to pay when I'm asking. I struggle with never good enough mindset. Well, I don't know what your faith is like, man, but I struggle with that as well. But there's a big, oh, what the crap? Time out. Whoa. 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 What just happened? What just happened? Whoa. Whoa. Oh, what just happened? Something just happened. Something just happened. What just happened? That was a 260 point or 160 point dump on NASDAQ. What just happened? Something just happened. Timeout. I don't see any news headlines so far come across. If you see it, tell me. No, Israel peace deal wouldn't cause that kind of a move. That's insane. What just happened? What just happened? Wow. What just happened? Wow. Is China becoming hostile all of a sudden? I know it's coming. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world. No way that just caused that kind of a move. There's no way that just caused a kind of a move. China's countermeasures are legitimate defense actions. That was 5 minutes ago, though. You mean tell me it took 3 minutes to do that? Sorry, Phil. Oh, man. Look at that liquidity at 25,000. Holy crap-a-roni. Wow. Wow. Did Frumple short the exact top? Come on, Frumple. What you got? 25, 120. Still going. This is a significant move. Wow. Wow. All right, zoom out. Make counter, under counter. So they're coming on down to 0.60. When a move like this happens, immediately zoom out. Higher time frames. 0.44 down to 980. All right, I think that's a pingable move. Wow. What a nutty move. Wow. It's crazy stuff, man. Nice, Trippy Mike. Killing it, buddy. Killing it. All right, so we have 25,000 liquidity just came off the book. There was 800 orders there, and they just came off the book. This is still plummeting. This is a 200-point move, 300-point move. We went from 350 to 50, so 300 points. Wow. Wow. I am now accepting of any down move after I move into the G fund. So let's see it. What are bonds doing? Are bonds tanking too? I'm going to be very in tune with the bonds now. There we go. Look at that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go. Rocket them bonds. Let's go. Still going. 25.03 and dropping. Aggressive sell. Aggressive sell. Wow. Aggressive sell. Wow. 0.24. 0.24. Don't try to catch this falling knife, baby. This is a very strong trend. Either ride the trend with small position size or nothing. This is a very strong trend. I told you, I've been prepping y'all for China now for a while. And if they kick off something with China, it's going to be no bueno. Although this isn't necessarily war-related, but this could kick the hornet's nest for war. Here's 25,000. Wow. It's nutty stuff, man. Nutty stuff. %, 110% gain, but it could have been 400. Hey, that's okay, man. So that's okay. The S&P falls 70 points in seconds after President Trump publishes the paragraph about China. So more tariff news. Whew. Wow. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. I told you look distributive. I told you look distributive. Do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think the market knew about this to some degree before this actually happened this morning? You didn't think that anybody on Wall Street had any idea this was going to occur? It's incredible. Massive, massive red candles all the way down. Do not buy this dip. Right side of the freaking V. Let this thing do its thing or short. That's what you want to do. Do not buy this unless there's a strong right side of the V. Period. Distribution. Could this kick off the markdown event? I don't know. I don't know. Here I was worried I couldn't clear my profit account on TPT. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. $25,022. Still going. Still going. Gold's not moving at all. Trump and his cronies knew probably. It ain't done yet? Let's take a look. Let's zoom out. Where's the likely bounce zone? Got a little green coming along. If it clears 0.75 or so, 0.80, that'll be your bounce zone for 3Cs. But until then, it's just flagging right here at the lows. We have some 3C down here. It's just not relative to the sell-off. That's what I'm saying. I don't see high volume here. I see a little higher volume relative to the initiation of the sell. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to play the bounce, you've got to wait for the higher high, or you're going to get wrecked. This is aggressive. This is aggressive. Aggressive. Market dump one. Oh my gosh. There you go. Do we have a 2% red? Hey, we're still a far way off. It's interesting that that poll would post right now by itself. But here we go. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? 2502. Still going lower. ES has wiped out everything except 6720. Another top wick. Another top wick. Crazy stuff, dude. I guess we hit the 2%. We still have a long way to go. If we hit a 2% red day today, it's going to be a crazy day. Crazy day. A bunch of folks just got straight ruined. Well, not us. 25030. Give me 2%. I hope it does. I am positioned for it, baby. I officially moved into protection mode on my 401k yesterday, so bring it. Give me 2%. Give me 30%. I'm ready for it. Oh, yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go. I am ready for it. Today's the reckoning for longs. If I caught the exact day that I need to position myself into safety, I am Michael Burry status. Like, Michael Burry status. I'm just kidding. I'm not dealing with $500 billion. All right. Still coming on down, baby. Why, how did this cause the TLT the blast? Because TLT, the bonds, are their flight to safety trade. When the market goes poof, everything's going to fly into bonds. It's the safety trade. You led the greatest transfer, TSP transfer in history. If this continues, I'm sure glad to follow. Did you really? Did you do it, Sam? Nice. Nice. I love it. Normally people have to pay a couple $1,000s for that kind of financial advice. You paid 25. You're welcome. New low of the day right there, 24,987. No buying the dip unless you have an incredibly high amount of volume with a higher high. Period. Ride the shorts or do nothing until you have it. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. We just tapped the exact weekly low. The exact weekly low. Are they going to take out the weekly low? What are we going to do? The exact weekly low. How much ripping and tearing can we get off the weekly low? Look at SPY 15. That looks like a 3C to me. It does, 100%. So higher highs. You know, I said no buying the dip unless you have the 3Cs, which includes the higher high. You've got to have it. Once you have it, you can comfortably take a high. You could take a 3C bounce. I'm just trying to keep you from catching falling knives. Wait for the confirmation. Trust me, if this bounce, when it bounces, I should say, there'll be plenty of upside because of the amount of move we just had very quickly. Why did the market just tank? China. China tariff news. Wow, wait a minute. I like it, Chris. Stopped. Nice. So look on the Nasdaq. Look at the S&P. What do we have to get high? Right? Look at this obvious level at zero. What zero? You can even make it 100 to be safe. That's the level you want to take. And if you get that, you'll get an instant 100-point win if you wait for that higher high. If you go before then, you're going to get demolished. You don't want to do that. Z was short, yeah. $25,100 on Nasdaq. On ES, you need, I mean, heck, after that, man, I mean, you need to clear 67.41 on ES. 41 on ES. On Nasdaq, you need 100. I prided myself for not chasing ES and Nasdaq, just stayed in my 945 gold long. Stopped at 40.20. Nice. Very cool. There we go. 0.88. Nice, Kennedy. Well done, buddy. Well done. China is becoming very hostile. This might be by the dip. Wait. I mean, so far, there's a beautiful high volume bounce off 982, which would have netted you about a 100-point bounce so far. But the smart entry, obviously, hindsight's 2020. The smart entry is 0.93 to 100 on Nasdaq. Once that clears, you'll get a 100-point gain. But until then, this is at risk. Russia supposedly moved nukes into Venezuela. So right here. $67.45. These are the kind of macro trendline trades that Tori trades makes 90K on. She usually just takes the break. Nice. The fact that we haven't had an aggressive bounce yet off this move is going to demand that you be patient. I've been roasted too much on breaks without confirmation. Yeah. That looks like a Volmageddon move. Not really. Volmageddon move is going to be obscene. Holy crap. Although that's a crap ton of put buying. 6.33 billion in puts, 1.2. I changed my stance, Lowen. After seeing this options data, this right here is what kicks off Volmageddon. When there's no positioning on the books and they have to pile into 0 DTE options. And that's exactly what just happened. That's the most aggressive put flow I've seen since February. So in short, that's what causes the Volmageddon move that SpotGam has been warning us about. There's absolutely zero protection on the books, so they're forced to absolutely pummel into 0 DTE puts to protect themselves, and it causes outsized moves to the downside. I pretty firmly believe sooner than later someone's going to detonate a tactical nuke and going to change the whole world. I agree. 100%. Wow, what a move. What would you do if they put on a 2% move? We're already at 8 billion in negative deltas. Boom. Coming on down, there's 25,000. No buy the dip yet. No buy. Trump was set to meet him in 2 weeks, but now it seems under no reason to. If it clears this, it's going to be even lower. There it goes. 8 billion in puts. Wow. 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 They're going to take... Wow. 950. Holy crap-a-roni. Wow. 943 still going. 939. Wow. Considering countermeasures on China. Yep. Wow. Unreal. It's hard to believe we're only down 1.3%, but it's getting nasty. It's getting nasty. The United States Treasury prepares exceptional measures to safeguard market stability. Uh-oh. That sounds like 2008 type of terminology. 912 still going. What are bonds doing? Oh, yeah, baby. Give me that TLT. Give me the bonds, babe. My soul. When is PPT coming today? I don't know, but not until we have volume. Not until we have volume. Nice, Dan. Well done, buddy. Still a runner. I'm from 274. Nice. What a move. I love it. Still going, baby. Still going. 928 coming on down. Long-term charts. We just smoked the monthly low. We just smoked the monthly low. If they give out monthly low, we're probably going 650. If they smoke this, we're going 650. So just be careful. I'm going to have to mute here for a second. I'm doing the PP dance. I knew I should have bought more TLT yesterday. Heck yeah, man. Still coming off. 915. This is an exceptional level right here. If I give this out, it's going to be shaking and baking, baby. Shaking and baking. $984, 894, 890, 885. Still going. Still going. Just took out the monthly low. Now we're coming on down again. Still going. No buying the dip. Not yet. Not yet. I'm not trying to tell anyone to catch the bottom here. Wait until the 3 CFR get along. Until then, you have to short. Or just do nothing. This is a very, very sell-off day. If they didn't bounce it here, then you know how strong the selling is here. Still going. Still going. 870. Booyah. Volume is increasing. Look at the volume. It's obscene. This is obscene. 860. Still going. We have 9 billion in negative delta. The highest negative delta I've seen since February, and I think it's even beaten that. Incredibly, incredibly negative delta. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I will. I will. I just checked my long-term port. Everything is selling off except TLT. Yep. And I'm sitting there just baking in the sun, baby. My TSP is baking in the sun. In the sun. I love it. That arguably may be one of the best trades I've ever put on. One of the best trades I've ever put on. The amount of money I just saved, if this is in fact the top, is going to be extraordinary. We're still a little early, obviously. It's only one day. This could bounce right back up tomorrow. Who knows? But if this is the top, and I literally transferred at the top, it's gonna be up there with one of the best trades I ever made. I'll take it. Nice, Chris. Well done, buddy. Still going down. Somebody up there likes me. Come on, baby. Still going. 855, no bottom wicks. There's not even a second or third C. We keep getting a couple of volume spike. There's not even a second C. So no consideration of buying the dip here at all until you get the second C. Don't try to crystal ball this crap. Second C or nothing. Second and third C or nothing. Today's not the day to try to catch the bottom. Would you say the markets were looking for distribution And just, 100%. Yeah, my thesis as of October 3rd was distribution. Y'all know me. I don't believe in coincidences. Just so happened that Trump did this right at the highs as it's looking just like distribution. Come on. Come on. No such thing as coincidences. 825 still dropping. Still going. No buy the dip. No buy the dip. Catalyst is simply liquidity. If the markets weren't ready to sell, this would not have sold on this news. Period. Come on. 814. I don't want to hear anyone getting plowed because they tried to buy the dip and got smoked. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you should be safe. I would rather you do nothing than try to buy this dip and get wrecked. Be late on the V or get destroyed. Come on. Still going, baby. Still going. Still going. 812. Gold rocketing. TLT rocketing. The amount of urine in my bladder is rocketing. 812 coming down to 725. On down. Are we at 2% yet? We are at 1.8% on NASDAQ. Got out of that position because I initially panicked at the quick move. Another top wick. Another top wick Aroni with cheese. We have 818. 820. What are we going to do? Love it. I love it. Got out of my position because I initially panicked. No, that's okay. All right, so with 830, we have a small green candle down. They're back and forth all the way down. Love it. I love it. G-Fund yesterday, baby. That's right. The G-Fund yesterday. Nice little bounce. 875. We need the higher highs, though, to even consider long positions. You need the higher highs to even consider long positions. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Nice, beautiful bounce. So far, it's the strongest bounce yet. The strongest bounce yet so far. You need a higher high. Let's go to the 5-minute. G-Fund yesterday. The speed in which OM went from months of buy the dip to this is for real, don't buy should be pretty clear. 100%. Not to mention my thesis on Friday. That's one of the reasons I officially switched my thesis, so I can get in the mindset of pumping the brakes on the buy the dip and getting ready for the real move here. And that's what's occurring here. That's what's occurring here. This is pretty extraordinary. 2.5 billion in sold calls, 6.7 billion in purchased 0 DTE puts. This is extraordinary, and they're about to kill this candle. If they kill this candle, pucker up, buttercups. It's about to get real. If they kill this candle, it's like going into an Indian restaurant and asking for level 5 spice. $24,828. That is turn on a podcast. Yeah, yeah. Large top wick on the 5 and 15. What's this liquidity at here? 800? We have 800 liquidity? So, crazy stuff, man. Wow. What a day, man. What a freaking day. There it goes. There it goes. Wow. Wow. Absolutely wow. Absolutely freaking wow. This is absurd, y'all. This is absurd, y'all. Holy smokerinos. Holy smokerinos. There it goes. No buy the dip. No buy the dip. Not yet. I'm even hesitant to say the word yet because I don't want you jabronis to go, oh, he said yet. Lizard, 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 lizard. And all of a sudden you get wrecked. Come on, 750. Let's go. Highest volume spike of the day so far right there. But it doesn't mean anything because we don't have a second or third C. You either do nothing or you find yourself a short entry. You do not buy the dip. Have I taken a trade yet? Yes, this is the highest day I've had in about 4 weeks. 763 still going. $735 still down. Still going. What an incredible strong trend this is. Look at the 15-minute. Nothing but red, baby. The next target is going to be 636, which is the October 1st low. You do not take a long trade unless you have a higher high, period, which we haven't had a single one yet. I don't see this bouncing at any level and close to a close. Maybe. All right. I do have to mute. I'll be back here in about 2-3 minutes. All right, still coming along. Still coming along. On down, baby. On down. Yo ho. 6661 ES, 24,600 liquidity. NASDAQ just is about to attack monthly lows of October 1st. We are now, what, 70 points away. After that, we're going down to 24.4. Did we hit 2% day yet? Yes, we did. Yahtzee, 2% before red. Hold on, we got to do that. Hold on, baby. Oh, yeah. Who won? Where'd it go? No bye-bye. Not yet. View the poll. View poll. There we go. All right. Does TPT have a limit down rule? I don't know, but we're a long way off from that. We're a long way off from that. All right, so we have a little bit of a bottom wick forming. We have the highest volume candle of the day. You need the higher high. The third C is what you want to focus on. April 4th and August 1st incoming. It's a long way down, bro. It's a long way down. April 4th. August 1st I could see. April 4th. It's a long way down. Hey, what do we have here, Kennedy? What we have here is a failure to alleviate. World War III. Well, World War III has been incoming for a while. 2025 is the year, although we're a little late. But I think all of this is a step up from that. VIX now 21.22. If you zoom out on the charts, you realize how much of a tiny drop this is. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So y'all remember how the limit down rules work? It happened because we hit the 5% down. When was it? Or the 7% down? What was it? Back in February. So if the market hits 7% down, the first limit, a timer starts. I think it's 2 minutes. If the markets stay below 2% negative for more than 2 minutes, it stops. It shuts it off. If it hits 2% and then bounces back up over 2%, now the next limit goes down to 13%. The 7% no longer matters. And it'll have to drill down to 13% to trigger the next limit off. So it has to stay below 2% for 7 minutes or 7% for 2 minutes in order to shut off the market. Nice, Chris. Well done, buddy. So we're finally starting to get a little bit of a bounce. Of course, the higher highs on the 5-minute. I'm not interested on a small, quick bounce. I want the higher highs. Nice, Sling. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. I lived through several, not a fun time. Options right now are 6.65 million puts, 3.2 million sold calls. You are a wizard. Thanks, Tofu. I'm very happy with that trade. That's the amount of money in my TSP and the amount of money I just saved will be considered the best trade I've ever put on. If this is the top 20-30% top, I'm pretty dang happy with that. No buy the dip. Look at this red candle. You cannot buy the dip here until you have a higher high. I don't care about this little whatever bounce this is. You cannot buy the dip until you have a higher high. Still going. I'm happy I finally listened to you and started buying on TLT over the weeks. I love it, man. TLT is where it's at. TLT is the flight to safety trade. It's not sexy, but it will pay you when everyone else is getting wrecked. When everyone else is getting wrecked, making no money is better than losing. And TLT will certainly pay you a little bit. So, I'm the king of non-sexy, trust me. Still coming down. Still coming down. Red candles. Red candles. Higher high in the 5-minute or higher time frame. I've only been here about 3 years. Well, the 5-minute is your first indication for a higher high, which we haven't gotten yet. The 5-minute could not even come close to putting in a higher high. So for me, I'm not even looking at a buy the dip opportunity. You have to think about it this way. Don't be greedy. If you are sitting here doing nothing, looking for a buy the dip, there is plenty of opportunity for upside if it does bounce. So don't sit here and try to catch a falling knife. Demand a higher high. Be patient, because when it does bounce, if it does, it's going to go quickly. 200 points, boom, off the bat, if you can be patient. But until then, you're going to get wrecked buying the dip. So you have to demand the 3. If you're going to learn the 3C system, then play the freaking 3C system, which means volume, wick, higher high, period. And then you pick whichever time frame you want to apply that on. The higher, the better. The 5-minute for here is going to be your first good start to look for a buy the dip. Until then, I mean, obviously I've got this trend line plotted here just to show you how aggressive this is, and it's still respecting this trend line. So at least let it break the trend line, take the higher high, and then, okay, I'm going to start positioning into a buy the dip. Until then, down. And this is coming from someone who's been religiously buying the dip now for 4 months. Yes, sir. 10 shut. Let's go to the 15-minute. What do we have? Small bottom wick on the 15. Let's go to the 5. No higher highs yet. So we're going to let this candle marinate a little bit. I couldn't resist and sold the PCS. Well, I mean, if you're right, it's going to pay well. No, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I mean, you got to have some cojones to play this game, man. I'm not mad at you at all. I just took a Tesla Lotto call. Cheap. All right, here we go. We're starting to get a little bit of a move. Yesterday was a good day to go short on the dollar, I guess. Yeah, seems to be always a good idea to short the dollar. All right, so here's the SR flipping the higher high right here. This would be my line in the sand. Why? You've got this little wick. You've got this wick. Higher high. Let's get over it. Other than that, nothing. Nothing. There's 293. Would you sell any put spreads for today? Some people have, yeah. Is it 3Cs in my playlist? Yes, sir, it is. It is. You see them struggle. You see them struggling at this level. They can't get through this level. This is the struggle. This is the higher high. This is why it's such an important level. This is why it's such an important level. Can it do it? Nice, tripping Mike. Nice. Where would I set my stop? Well, I mean, 640 is way on down. So you're dealing with hundreds of points. Like these candles are 100-point candles. So if you're dealing with stops, it's hard to set on structure when you're dealing with candles like this. There we go. 820. So it's very difficult. blasting. There's the higher high. So now we have the upward flow. This is the biggest bounce so far. After that, we're coming to 24.9. $24.9. There's 861, 871, 880, 890. Give me 900. Are they going to give us 900? They going to give us 900? That's a quick 80 points. Can they give us 900? Can they give us 900? Come on. Come on. Come on, baby. Give me 9 more points. Come on. Come on. Give me 9 more points. Oh, you jabronis. You jabronis. Get out of my server. You freaking market makers. $870. Don't do it. We have 2.7 million sold calls, 6.5 million puts, but it's not increasing or decreasing. There's 883. They need 900. Give it to me. Man, they are toying with me. It's like a cat and mouse. Cat and mouse. Cat and mouse. Come on. What are the calls doing here? They know we know, they know we know, they know we know, they know we know. They know we know, they know we know. That's a gutsy entry, Frumple. Gutsy entry. Ah, crap. All right. I'll take it. Didn't get my 900. They came 2 points out of 900. 2 points. I'll take it, though. All right, what do we have here? Pause projection off S5 to look out for a despite higher high. Well, heck, man, that was still 100 points off higher high. So, you know, you saw I was looking for that 798 higher high right here. Once it took it, boom. That's why if you wait for higher high, you are quickly rewarded. If you can just wait for that higher high. 100 points like that. As soon as I heard you wanted 2 points, I slid my limit buys since everyone was going to wait for that grab. No, that's how I work it, man. They put their stop losses just under that golden area. They move it before then. I love it. I love it. There you go, man. That's how it's done. That's the 3 C's in a nutshell. Beautifully laid out. What do we have here? Calling it a day after 5 times my daily goal. Nice, Damien. I love it, buddy. That bounce gave you life. Nice, Jova. Got me some this time. Nice, Nancy. Have a great freaking weekend, Damien. I love it, buddy. Great freaking weekend. Oh, man. All right. Well, let's see what they're going to do next. Did Bookmap foreshadow any of this? No. At least I didn't see anything that would point to this on Bookmap. So, when you commented about how you said yet and then lizard, I needed to hear that. Lizard my way down, but 3C's my way back up. Nice, Kyle. Good stuff, man. You 3C'd your way back up. Keep it up. Unfortunately, I didn't catch any of that short, but I also didn't chase. Hey, that's fantastic, Proggy. There's nothing wrong with that. That is absolutely amazing. Well done. Not FOMOing when you're not feeling comfortable is perfectly great, man. It's great. Remember, it's not about the money. It's about the process. The calmness I had while taking these opportunities was amazing. Isn't it amazing, Krish? Such an aggressive, volatile move, and all you have to do is follow the system. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. I'm glad I switched to micros. Great. Hey, that's a great. I feel like, man, given by what y'all are saying, this is the most responsible Discord out there. Granted, I've never been in another Discord, but people making those comments, fantastic. Micros instead of macros. Didn't chase the move even though it was hard. Like, it's good stuff, man. That is maturity. We're not seeing Lambos, baby, LFG 87,000 times. It's great. Good traders know when to do nothing when nothing should be done. I like it, doctor. 50 to 60 points in seconds. Yeah. That's why I'm saying if you can wait for confirmation, you'll be quickly rewarded. Quickly. You just got to be patient for it. I played one long micro and caught 10 points in gold in 30 seconds. Love it. Haven't wanted to take a trade today. Just a lot of movement compared to what I'm familiar with. Nice. That's all right, Zacto. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. 26% on my amp. Nice, Lee. Well done. Well done. Some of the biggest profits I've seen in a couple of weeks. This is great. This is fantastic. Now coming up, they're going to give me 900 now after shaking me out. It could be the reversal. And look, guess what happens at the bottom? Right there. Here, I'll make it a little more clear for you, just in case it's not clear. There you go. There you go. Five times daily profit on my cash account. Time to call it quits. Nice, Walker. I love it. It's fantastic. Remember that big resting liquidity on Bookmap a few days ago? What's the chance of a huge market sell a day or two later? Seems like insider info. Well, we have seen a lot more larger liquidity sell blocks on NASDAQ than in weeks, months past. So that could be a little foreshadow, yeah. This is the best area. I prefer your insight. Oh, thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, buddy. This grind to max payouts on TS is such a grind with base hits. There you go. I like it, Tylenol. So where do we go from here? I don't know. I have no idea. I've taken shorts. I've taken one long at the bottom. I don't know what else to do. You know, we're just going to chill here until we have something evident present itself. We've had a shakeout day. I'm not going to be naive enough to think that we're not going to put another low in today. So I don't know. We could full V. We could sell off. I don't know. Because here's the thing. As many times as we played the beautiful bottom wick V, the day's going to come to initiate the markdown phase where we're going to smoke it all day long. And today could be that day. And I don't know that. I'm not calling that. I'm not going to say, hey, I told you so. I'm just saying I don't know what's going to happen. So all I can really recommend is be very diligent on the 3 C's. If you're not comfortable, then pull back position sizing. Switch to micros. Just be smart. $15 looks like a V shape. Heck yeah. I know you've answered this before, but I wasn't on stream to hear it. How frequent is frequent enough for funded trading to qualify for your competition? I don't trade every day anymore. Normally on my personal, I have 2 to 4 trades a week now, and I won. I didn't specify, and I'll admit it's going to be a bit of my discretion. So I put that in there for someone who is like, they pass the eval to get funded, and they put on 1 trade a week. It's obviously not real trades. There's no real money. There's no activity just to just to win the competition. So for me, look at that liquidity on 700. So it'll be a bit of a discretion, but as long as I'm seeing that you're actively trading and there's meaningful activity, then yeah, I'm not even going to question it. So I'm not in it. I didn't put that rule in there to gotcha to keep from paying people. I put that in there because somebody is going to try to game the system, and you doing that is obviously not trying to game the system. I also put in there that you have to take 3 payouts, and if you're keeping a TPT account open for a month, 3 payouts should be pretty easy because they're daily payouts. So that'd be a little more difficult with Top Step, but for TPT that should be pretty easy. And I think with the blending of those 2 rules, that should be pretty good. Consolidation now, so far. I'm glad this happened on a day when you chose to stream on YouTube. Heck yeah, man. It's been great. It's been great. Best money I ever spent was listening to you each day. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate the kind words. I was 80% down to my account, 17 October. Q puts. I could get out with a small profit, but might be the wrong decision if we fall further. That's all right. Remember, you can always get back in. Sent you a DM on the comp. Yeah, I'll take a look. You entered on the way up without candle closure. I entered once we crossed 798. I walked through the whole process. So we're step by step, word by word. I thought I meant Staples was big tariffy thingy. Yeah, so I mean that's this whole shenanigan here is that if we're going to have more retaliatory tariffs on China, that it's going to cause a lot of market mayhem. And of course, if tariffs are going to have a big effect from any country, it's going to be China. We do a lot of business with China. Walmart is like 100% China. It's all right, Frumple. We already know it. We already know you short every high and buy every low. It's fine. You pin it. You kill it. How much of a difference would it really make for an air force like PLA? Wouldn't C just take care of this eventually? All right, let's take a look. In response to increasing pressure from China, Taiwan's president pledged to accelerate development of an air defense system and increase defense spending, including boosting capabilities of ship threats. Yes. So if the United States doesn't intervene, China is going to run through Taiwan like water through a sieve. If you look at the whole situation, and I have to be careful how I say this because I've had top secret briefings on this matter. If you look at the China-Taiwan situation, Taiwan is a very small island about 100 miles off the coast of China. So there's about 100 miles worth of ocean between Taiwan and China. That amount of ocean is the single only thing that's kept China from invading Taiwan up until this point. There's a soda straw because China has an extremely large army. But that water creates a soda straw on how to get those troops from China to Taiwan. And there's the big old fat United States standing between them, militarily, of course, not geographically, between China and Taiwan location. If you look at the island of Taiwan, it's a north to south long island, and there is a mountain range up and down north and south, at which the Taiwan city, the main cities, are on the right side of the mountains, and China is, of course, at the left side. So they have a little geographical defense inherently built into the topography of the island, which helps them. But if China wants to come in, and of course, yes, to pound those air defense systems, they can do it. I mean, China is very technologically advanced, not as much as the media makes them out to be, but they are technologically advanced. And if we're not there to protect them, then they're going to steamroll through Taiwan like they're not even there. I'm just messing with you, Frumple. I'm just messing with you. Remember, though, I will say, no one cares about your callouts. We care about your whys. I'll just tell you that. We care about your whys. White House Trading does switch it to puts. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Isn't that the truth? China doesn't want a full-blown war. No, they don't. They want to take Taiwan without the United States involvement, but, you know. So, I think it's also because they consider Taiwan as Chinese. They do. 100% they do. That's, yeah. Shall I teach GAN here? I don't know what that is. What the crap? My UPS just picked up. One second. My breaker just flipped for some reason. All right, YouTube. I am going to restart because my UPS has failed, so I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. I'm not sure if I'll start the YouTube stream back up, but we'll see. If you see a live pop up, then come join us. Thanks for being here. I'm out. See you.